like to welcome everybody to another edition of the Absolute Truth. Today I have three representatives of the Nation of Guards and Nurse, and I would like them to introduce themselves.
Peace. My name is B. Naquan. That's Naquan spelled with a K, not a Q. I had knowledge for 30 years, 1978. It's funny in saying that, having knowledge as long as I had, because I was never really, with a family structure that dealt with religion. So for me, it was real easy for me to attract to the knowledge, So there was never no question where I was questioning what was being said to me by one of my peers at that, too, because he was a young brother, too, who told me that he was God. And from that, the journey just began for me.
Okay.
Peace.
That's peace. My name is Allah Divine. I'm a member of the Nation of Guards and Nurse. I had knowledge of self since the year 92, so I was 16 years in this nation. I'm originally from the desert, that's Queens, New York. And now I reside in Kemet, which is called Rochester, New York. And from having knowledge of self, it basically opened my eyes to a lot of things that, I wasn't exposed to as young, coming from a family that was always into the church and stuff like that. So when I got the knowledge of myself in 92, it kind of fit me, you know what I'm saying? I kind of accepted it and carried it out, you know what I'm saying? It showed and proved through my research and study that everything that I was studying so far to this date is right and exact. So, I just like to say that, peace.
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 Peace. My name is Rakim Allah. Had knowledge since I was 15 years old. So, 41, so that's, 26 years I've been in the nation. And basically the nation has allowed me to broaden my horizons and see different aspects of life and basically recognize the truth for what it is and not rely on a mysterious being to see me through the next day. This nation, being a part of the nation has actually, given me the position to where I have to be responsible for my ways and actions and not rely on a mysterious God in order for me to justify some of my actions. So this nation has really, brought my horizons and actually let me see things in a clear, precise, scientific fashion and not a mysterious way.
Oh, okay, that's good, that's good. Now, in the Nation of Guards and Nurse, I know that it's a set doctrine that's studied, and within that doctrine, the doctrine is borrowed from the Nation of Islam, Supreme Wisdom, they call it, but the Nation of Guards and Nurse call it 120 Lessons.
Right.
Now, and what we're going to be discussing today is a topic of who are the original people. And within that doctrine, Elijah Muhammad's doctrine, he states that the original people are black. Bidin, how would you go about proving that to the listeners?
Well, that's a good question. There's ways of going about that. Let me say this first. There was a scientist by the name of Gregor Mendel, who was a botanist. He showed and proved the difference between, this was plants. He was dealing with plants, from a dominant and a recessive. And from him understanding that, he understood that the dominant plant, the recessive, anything that came across outside of that, he showed that it came from that dominant species of a plant. That's how he was able to show that there was a dominant and there was a recessive.
Okay.
He showed that. So, okay, now, with original people, of course, we're dealing with genetics. So we're dealing with genetics. There's a word, if I'm pronouncing it correctly, it's called, I think, melanocytes.
Melanocytes.
Melanocytes, if I'm pronouncing it correctly. Melanocytes, which deals with a black and a brown pigment. These are pigments. So within that gene, or within that, not the gene, within that organism, it has to have that pigment, that melanin, because we're speaking about melanin now. So there's melanin in there, which is produced, I think that secretes, if I'm correct, and I think I am correct, by the pineal gland, or you could deal with, of course, melatonin and things of that. When you're talking about original, first original means first.
Okay.
That means first. That's what you're dealing with when you're talking about something that is original. You're talking about something that is first, and anything else that comes out of that is a copy.
Right.
That's how you get dominant, and then you can get something that comes out of being recessive. So in that, I think that if anyone who understands that and deals with the term or the word original person or being black, first you're dealing with melanin, obviously, because you're dealing with something that is producing the melanin that allows every black person to have the hue, which we call, people use the term color, but really it's hue.
Right.
That you have coming out, that is produced. And I also like to say something else, but I heard a sister say too, I forgot her name. She said that in describing melanin, she said it's biological living light, is what she said.
Wow.
Right.
Which is a very, when I heard her say that, I said that was profound to me, because that's what actually it is. It's like biological living light, because the sunlight is what we are able to intake. This is why you hear brothers say that we are sun people, because of the fact that we are able to soak it up the way we're able to soak it up based on melanin now.
Right.
So when you're dealing with melanin, you're dealing with something that is biological living light. And also, to quote somebody else, that you say when you deal with something that comes outside of the original, outside of being black, you're going into albinism.
Right.
And as the sister said, anything that when you dealt with melanin, it was an upswing. That wasn't her words that she used, but it was to that effect.
Right.
That anything with melanin was an evolution of upwardness. And then with melanin being disappearing or leaving, it was a going back to albinism.
Okay.
It was a back of going to albinism. So I could go on. I don't know if I was as clear enough as I can be to the people or to the audience, but original means those who are carrying melanin within themselves, within their skin, and that deals with genetics.
So basically, you're saying that when you say original, you say it's first, or it's like the source.
Absolutely.
From where others.
It's the source. It's the source where everything else comes from out of. That deals with a form of paleontology, which is the study, which is actually studying the fossil remains, studying the recorded of people who came first. That's original people, who are fathers and mothers of civilization. That's the first. Everything else came from out of that. That's why I said about the upswing of evolution of original people, and then when you go into albinism, you're going back. So you're showing people who came from out of us, from the original source, as you said. So absolutely.
Okay. So Devon.
Yes.
What constitutes, well, I mean, Benny Kwan gave a good explanation of it.
Right.
So what constitute, in your understanding, one being original and one not being original? For like other ethnicities or
Right.
Caucasian people, would they be considered